Welcome everybody to Eye of the Serpent Tarot for another pick a card. So today's pick a card is all about how to magnify your star quality, your special source, the unique charisma and talents and so forth that you have that really make you stand out and shine. And the inspiration for this reading or this set of readings came from me just recently purchasing a beautiful new tarot deck called the Tinseltown Tarot, which is as it says, a peek into the future through the golden age of Hollywood. And it's by 50s Vintage Dame. The details about where to get it and so forth are in the description box below if you're interested. And if you're even more interested in that, if you haven't come because you've seen the interview that I've just done with the 50s Vintage Dame, then you may well want to go and see that afterwards, because I'm filming this so that I can actually publish it a day or two after that interview is published. So it's a fellow Aussie creator, Australian creator, so I really enjoy being able to support fellow Australians and getting a fascinating sort of background into this fabulous deck. And it is fabulous. It's all about the golden age of Hollywood, which is about as fabulous as you can get, really. And there are many depictions in here in this deck of famous people or types of roles and so forth, or things to do with, the stage and screen and so forth. So perfect deck for something looking at star quality. So hopefully you'll enjoy the reading. So to choose your pile, and of course you can always go to more than one pile if you want, if you feel drawn to it. But what I did was I shuffled the deck and I dealt out till I got the first three major arcana cards. And they are meant to give a bit of an idea as an outset about part of what your star quality is. There's some other oracle decks underneath that with intuitively chosen cards. I don't know what they are yet, but that will create a kind of a picture of your star quality. Then we're going to get into it in more detail with this gorgeous tarot, and then have a look at you and your potential rival, competitor or whatever in your field, in whatever it is, in whatever way you are being a star, or in the number of ways that you might be being a star. How you compare, how you can do well in that kind of a competition, and what you can sort of manifest with your star quality. So for pile number one, we have the Emperor. For pile number two, we have the Wheel of Fortune. And for pile number three, we have Judgment. So it may be the nature of those cards that draw you. It may be the imagery. It may be you've always wanted to be a director. you love the screen and all the sort of old-time cinema sort of feel. Or you really like to be out in public speak. Whatever it might be. It doesn't really matter what draws you, the imagery, the number of the pile, whatever. When you know what pile or piles you want to go to, the description box has the timestamps as always, and I'll see you there. Welcome pile one to your reading. So I have to say I kind of like a little bit of a chuckle when I saw some of the cards that came up with the Emperor. When I was sort of saying maybe you always wanted to direct, it's one of those sort of truisms of Hollywood that all the actors want to direct eventually and so forth, that sort of sense of being in control of things. And I actually think being the leader, being the boss, being in control, being the director, whatever that might be, is a very big part of your star quality. You were sort of born to direct, to be the visionary, and to kind of lead others. When I look at the kind of the imprint in a way of your star quality, because when I look from somebody from history, we've got Henry VIII. Now, there are many things said about Henry VIII, and he certainly had his fair share of wives, and sometimes it wasn't that good to be his wife. Interesting and dangerous times to be that close to a king. I don't think that this would be indicating that you were quite that, let's say, volatile to be around. That was a thing of its time and place, but certainly nobody could doubt that he was in control of his country, in control of his court, and from a very early age was very, very charismatic and very attractive. I mean, we do have the sort of older sort of image of him when he sort of had his various illnesses and ailments and put on weight and so forth, but he was certainly cut a fine dash, let's put it that way, in the royal court when he was young. So I feel like with the Emperor energy there, with Henry VIII, and here with Mars and Uranus, which is like ambition and revolutionary energy and inspiration, part of your star quality could be to create, not only direct and create visionary epics, but actually create a revolution. One of the things about Henry VIII, and largely connected to his relationship with his second wife, Anne Boleyn, was that he he, in his wish to divorce Catherine of Aragon and to marry Anne Boleyn, he created a whole new church. He created the Church of England. And so there is something about you that is quite revolutionary and evolutionary, and you're a leader. That's a big part of it. You also have a sense of your life path is about having the responsibility as well too. And again, interestingly with Henry VIII, I mean, one of the problems, as I said, in possibly being his wife, was that he wanted a son. It probably was because of chauvinism to some degree, but it was also that in those days, that was what would be the responsible thing to keep the line going. So I think if we extrapolate out from this, you have this sort of incredible ambition and vision and drive, and you're a creature of change and bringing in the new, but you're also very responsible. So as I say, the Emperor is the perfect card for you. Your star quality is to lead. You're definitely meant to lead. Then the other aspects that are connected to this, we have Diana Ross. So she's fabulous and glamorous. So I think that there's a sense that you have a glamorous way of coming across, and you're probably very charismatic and very charming. Again, Henry VIII, when he was younger, very charismatic. So I think there's a sort of a steel fist in a velvet glove sort of feeling about you. I think that you can look the part, you can be glamorous, you can make everything wonderful and exciting and new, very, very talented in whatever you do. You're very, very talented. Diana Ross was a diva, like one of the main sort of singers, in her particular field. So you're very good at what you do. You're also able to smooth the way. With aquamarine here, changes, tides flow. There's a sense of, even though there's all this incredible kind of Mars, Sun, sort of masculine, divine masculine, sort of let's get going with it, ambition, emperor energy here, this is the velvet glove. You are able to smooth it. You're able to, you'd almost create a revolution without people even knowing that it happened. That's one of your star qualities. You'd by the time you had finished with whatever you were doing in a workplace, or if you were for stage and screen, a movie or whatever it is, you'd have shifted the dial incredibly. You'd have created a new legacy or a new way of doing things, but nobody would have really noticed because it would have been so glamorous and so pleasant while it happened. So you're like a revolution that occurs through culture. Like, actually, that's what you are. You're like a culture warrior. You're like the cultural change that is the real underpinning of change in society, politically, powerfully, all of those sort of things. Underneath it all, you've got a very, very clear purpose, but you're doing it through culture in some way. So in whatever way you do this, whether it's, you do something in the political sphere through culture sort of things, whether it's you're very good at workplace culture and a workplace itself, whether you are a creative in some way and you're looking at shifting the dial or the political Overton window or something like that, that's who you are. And you are meant to lead. You're absolutely meant to lead. You are the emperor, and people should not underestimate you, though they might. Not to the point, I think, where they would kind of disregard you. Your presence is too strong, but I do think that they may not realise how much you've impacted them along the way. So let's have a look at tarot. Let's get a little bit more, just as a starting point, a little bit more about what this is telling us, about what your unique star quality is and how it might be magnified. And then we'll look at what's available to you to really make the most of it. And we'll also have a look at where there could be blocks or other things that are limiting what you're trying to do. Just like, as I say, Henry VIII had a fairly big block in the Catholic Church when it came to what he wanted to do in creating a whole new church. So there's certainly a lot of firepower with what you do, but we all, with our star quality, have to deal with blocks, other people, competitors, and we are going to look at competitors a little bit later in the reading. So firstly, a little bit more about your unique star power. Nine of Cups. Oh, there, you're so charming, Pawan. 10 of Swords reversed. Yeah, oh, wow. You're very interesting people. 10 of Wands reversed. 5 of Wands. Ace of Swords. Queen of Swords reversed. Okay, all right. So this is showing me your modus operandi, actually. You are definitely change agents in one form or another. As I say, it could be very much through cultural stuff, artistic stuff, but, you know, it could be change in a workplace, change politically, change socially, change legally, whatever it is. The world is different, and that wherever you are is different just by virtue of you being there. So you are incredibly charming. 9 of Cups. While all this change is going on, the 10 of Wands reversed, the 10 of Swords reversed, you know, people could be exhausted. People could sort of feel like, what the hell just happened? In some way, whatever this major change is that you do, at the end, you've made it feel much lesser. There's maybe been a bit of conflict, but it's much lesser. And even the way that this 5 of Wands is portrayed, where it's kind of like people choosing a lipstick, it's almost like somehow you've gone in and made this major shift in something, but instead of everybody feeling like, I've got to block this because it's you know, it's too much, you've almost made them choose their own adventure. This is very interesting because you have this new idea. And so this is kind of your general thing. You kind of bring people to think differently about things that might have been a battle, so that you make this change with a great deal of charm, and they haven't even realised it's happened. But the interesting thing is, if people tried to look behind the curtain, so to speak, if people tried to challenge it, you have the sharpest tongue there is. So if it came to it, people would know they shouldn't have crossed you. But 9 times out of 10, they won't even know. You have charmed them, you'll have shifted the energy, all of that kind of thing. I mean, like, literally, if you have a look at the Queen of Swords here, she's, you know, carrying her sword and all that kind of thing. I keep getting drawn back to Henry VIII. It's like when he was really crossed, heads literally rolled with Henry VIII. So I'm not saying they literally roll with you, but I think that you have if you needed a very sharp and incisive tongue, you really do see things very, very clearly. You see the future very clearly. That's why you're bringing about the change. But 9 times out of 10, people don't even know that you've done it. You're really clever at that. The interesting thing about that is that people may not even know you were the architect of the change. So you're almost like the Scarlet Pimpernel in a way, that kind of feeling. So let's see what is available for you at the moment to really turbocharge this star power. 6 of Wands, the Tower reversed, 8 of Cups reversed, the 9 of Pentacles reversed, the 4 of Swords. Okay. For all that I said that people won't necessarily know, I think people won't necessarily know how much you've changed everything. You've shifted everything to the point that they've almost just followed along with it and not noticed the change on that level. But you are recognised. Like you will be recognised for what you do. And it's like, for many of you, it's like you change things, but not in such a way that they completely gone. You kind of incrementally restructure. This might be the other reason why you can come in and do the change energy in whatever way it is. So if you were a director, again, I'm going to go back to that because this is the way the Emperor is being portrayed here. If you're a director on a movie, it might be that you're the director that's called in when it's not really fully working, and you still manage, you're recognised for how brilliant you are at bringing the team together and getting something on a single focus, editing and dealing with anything that's necessary and reducing any tension. And therefore you're known for your capacity to sort of restructure, change and make something work really well so that it doesn't have to be given up on. So I think a lot of how you use your star power is to kind of revive or re-energize or shift things that still have some value, but to shift them into the future, into what they need to be. And you're very good with other people with the 9 of Pentacles reversed. You actually thrive working with other people. There's a side of you that might like to go away and just contemplate, but at the end of the day, you actually thrive very well with other people. So what's the potential blockages or anything like that could be operating for you at the moment? Pile 1. 8 of Pentacles, 2 of Wands reversed, Queen of Wands reversed, 2 of Swords. Okay, I feel this is other people around you. You don't have an energy of someone who would be wondering about themselves, I've got to say. The Queen of Wands reversed doesn't feel like you. And the 8 of Pentacles, I feel like the main thing you have to make sure of in whatever you do, and this is why, again, the director is such a good example of whatever it is, however your star quality operates. And, you could be a director and the lead actor as well. Do you know what I mean? It's not saying that you wouldn't be a star in the other way if that's what you want to be. But I think that the main blocks might be the choice of other people around you. Because it looks like you might have a tendency, whether you're aware of it or not, to choose people who are less confident than you and less skilled than you, which means you retain the choice. Now, the block that can come with that is that it's always up to you then. And sometimes that might work really well, but sometimes it's good to actually have people in your team who either could outdo you in something or at least be at your level to get the really highest outcome. So it's just something that I think Spirit's asking you to think about, which is, are there times where unconsciously you draw people around you who are lesser than you? And you may not even be deliberately doing it. You might get a lot of mini-me's and a lot of fans and people like that around you. But don't be so high up and detached that the skill base beneath you is not going to be strong. It's one of the sort of things, I'm not saying you would start a cult, so don't take it this way, but like when people start cults, this is often what goes wrong because they naturally draw in people who need a leader, and so there's no further infrastructure with it. And therefore, it's almost like the weakest link sort of operates with it. And it's not to say that people who join cults are weak per se, but they are looking for something. They're always looking for the answer outside of themselves at the point that they do that. So it puts all the pressure on the leader, and that can be the thing that becomes the issue within that kind of dynamic, apart from anything else you might think about a cult. But I'm trying to give the example of how it is that being surrounded with people who are lesser than you will lessen the overall outcome that you could have. You're strong enough and charming enough to have a lot of other sort of equals around you and still be the leader amongst equals. So it's just something to think about, pole one. So, okay, let's have a look, therefore, at you compared to maybe a competitor. Because one of the things that could be going on here is that you might find if you brought in in whatever it is that you do in your career or in your love life or whatever it might be, if you brought in some other people around you at a similar level, you might feel that it becomes competitive. And there could be a truth to that with the energy you have. You would draw high energy people because you're very high energy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through vocation, romance, spirituality and creativity. And I'm just going to draw a card for your energy, your star power, and the star power of your, let's say, closest competitor or closest rival, or competitor type if it's a group of people or a type of people. So let's start vocationally first of all. So something about your star power vocationally, career-wise, that kind of thing. The guardian angel. Okay, yeah, that's a good example of this too. It's this beautiful, soft, glamorous energy in the flow, but also this incredible strength behind it. But it does have the risk that you always have the wounded birds. So I think it is something to think about, but certainly any kind of like role that you would do vocationally, career-wise, where you were looking after other people, where you were being the benign leader, that would suit you very, very well. What about your kind of nearest rival in a sense, vocationally? What energy do they bring? Or that type of person bring, if it's a type of person? The free spirit. So I think what's differentiating you actually from those others like you, others who might like to be, like if you think about a director, again, a creative person, a person who comes in and does change, a lot of that is a free spirit thing because they come, they do it and they move on. They come, they do and they move on. So there's something in that, even cultural change comes in and then moves on, and it is about sort of freeing things up. So they have that kind of freedom energy, that move on energy. You may have a little bit more of a tendency to stay and look after, or to kind of accumulate people around you that you're looking after. So this could be a bit of a difference in the way that you deal with things in terms of your career. Now I'm also going to draw as a mediating point to see what you might need to do to get as much of what is good from that, plus keep what is good in you so that you stay ahead. And I'm going to pull a chakra card to see the chakra energy that you either need to do more or less of, or that if it's already balanced, you can leverage that balance. So we have the throat chakra. It's balanced. I talk and I'm a good listener. Okay, all right. So this is your advantage here. The free spirit change agent may not really care enough about the people that they're around. You do actually care about them. Now, it does, as I say, have a little bit of an issue around do you end up being kind of mother and father hen to them all, or mother hen, father rooster, or whatever to them all. But nevertheless, you do have a vocational advantage to your competitors at the moment because you really do, you know how to talk, but you also know how to listen. This is your charm. You're very, very charming. Let's see romantically, in terms of if you're using this star quality to draw in someone that you love, the strength that you have is the family planner. Okay, yeah, you are very loyal. Once you've actually decided you love someone, then you want to include them and keep them. And that's where this sort of energy operates really, really well. You want a family, you want a dynasty. That fits with the Sun and Saturn. You know, you're going to be loyal. What about your romantic rivals? What do they have in terms of star quality? The realist. So to some degree there's a similarity in as much as there's sort of like a pragmatism to this, an understanding of what the dynamics are. But again, yours feels more nurturing. This one feels more like, is this going to be a good thing for the kind of the profile? Oh, I would potentially sort of commit, get married, whatever it might be, if it's going to fit what I'm trying to do in my life. And also probably if these are the same people, which they may or may not be. Your romantic rivals might be different to your career rivals. But if there's some similarity there, it'd be like, I'm not going to get too tied down sort of energy. Let's see the chakra energy around romance for you. Okay, we've got the sacral chakra. Balanced, I feel pleasure in life. So you've got it, you're just so nice to be around. It's funny, as I say, with Henry VIII, but you really are nice to be around. You're very powerful, you're very strong, but you're also very, very loyal, and you really care about your people, whether it's, you know, in your career, whether it's romantically. Your rivals seem to be more the power, because they're going to be like you in a way, but they're kind of more the sort of, I want to be powerful, I want to be free, I'm not going to get sentimental. You're a nicer version of whatever your rival is, it seems to me. And that's important with all the kind of power. Let's see spiritually. What's one of your key star qualities spiritually? Taboo. Okay, you can deal with things. Oh, that's sort of interesting. I keep getting drawn to Henry VIII. You can deal with things that feel a bit transgressive, a bit different. This is why Mars, Uranus, you're able to shift the dial. It's like things that might have once upon a time. I mean, once upon a time, doing this would have got one burnt at the stake, right? So, but now, because people have been able to take what is taboo spiritually and bring it to others and show the good in it, we now can do things like tarot readings on YouTube. So you have that sort of tendency. Again, you're the initiator, the change agent. Your main spiritual rivals for star quality believe. Okay, they really believe in themselves. They're the true believers. Whatever they do around their spirituality, it appears to be incredibly authentic. And in many cases it may be. The true believers, it's the power of their belief. But I feel like what's kind of different there is that they're more likely to believe something that exists at the moment. You're more likely to want to push the boundaries. Let's see how you maximise your star power compared to your spiritual competitors, let's put it that way. Okay, crown chakra, overactive. I sense dissociation from my body. Okay. What I would think this is saying is that you are so far out ahead and in transgressive sort of like different energy that you may dissociate from what is giving you that sense of stability within your life more generally, whereas they are probably very much in their body and in their feelings. So I think there is something here about, think about this, if you're in this sort of realm, around spirituality, and that's part of your star power and part of your change energy, make sure that you can ground it within your body, because you're in the outer realms, okay? And it's harder to have this like, you know, very pure belief in the outer realms because you're the explorer. It's easier for your other spiritual sort of like potential competitors, as I say. I don't want this to sound terrible, but it's just like the people who kind of like would also be a star, like you could be a star. they're not out in the transgressive outer realms, and so it's easy to believe and have it within their body. So that's something to think about. And then let's also see creatively. So your creative star power. Multi-dimensional. Your awareness is expanding, integrating consciousness to become your highest expression of being. Yeah, you are. You're on the outer edges. And so creatively, you're expanding. You're like you shine your light very brightly, and it's an expanding energy. It's very Jupiter on that level. For your creative potential competitors, we have galactic soul. Energy, vibration expands. You remember your galactic family. Okay. I feel like there's something about family and all of this. It wouldn't surprise me when we get to getting to this bit, which is creative, and maybe to some degree also around spiritual, that there's some soul connection between you and those that would be your competitors on these sort of levels. Like if you're in a creative pursuit, you may be both from galactic backgrounds. If it's spiritual, you're both looking at kind of like bringing believers along, but you're more in the outer realms. And then it's sort of more like career and romance. You're more the kind of the person who oversees, whereas your rivals in that are more out for themselves in a sense. But it gets a little bit more complicated, I think, when we're looking at it spiritually and creatively. So let's just see how your star power shines in comparison, or what to do that when we're talking about your creative energy. Throat chakra. Underactive. I talk, but I fear expressing myself. All right. So you're very good in your career at talking. Like when you are in your career, when it's in a role that you know, all that kind of thing, you're absolutely on point. When you're in the creative space, I think that you feel a little bit less clear about what you're going to express, because I think when you're in a creative space and to some degree the spiritual space, you're more in these outer edges. Whereas if you're using your star quality and your star power to be the guardian angel that helps people go through great change in a vocation, you're fine because you're in a role. Whereas if you're in your creativity, you're yourself. So this is saying, remember how good you are up here. That same ability can be taken into the creativity, and don't feel that somehow you're just one of a family that they're more kind of connected to. That's not the case. Because if we look all the way down here, particularly if we're looking at similar people or a similar person or the same person, the energy of your competitor is very self-focused. Yours is actually far more ideas focused and other people focused. So remembering what you did around your vocation will help you around your creativity to really make your star power shine. So let's get you some stars to guide you as well. Stars for the star power. Pisces. This is interesting. You really do have a very soft heart for all that you're as strong as. Inside, like you're a bit of a marshmallow. Having said that, don't cross you. But there is a great tenderness within you. Aquarius, and then a great sense of the future. Like very future oriented. And Saturn, bringing something the new in. The responsibility. You have a huge sense of responsibility, a huge sense of the future, and a kind of empathic energy for people. This is what makes you the ideal change agent in whatever way that is, cultural warrior, whatever it is. You are absolutely born for this, and you have all the drive, all the ambition, all the strength to do it, but also all the charm. So that's beautiful. So let's just get you a dragon butterfly to close out the reading for what you can achieve now with your star quality. Pile 1. Dignity. Yeah. See, the thing is, if we take the structure of this reading and we say that your greatest rivals in any of these fields are going to have some similarity to you. The key difference, I think, between you and what we were seeing with the rival is that you actually care about other people. So your charm is legitimate rather than kind of studied and sociopathic. I mean, I'm not saying all your rivals are sociopaths, but there's a genuine caring here, and that's one of the things that really sets you apart and helps you moderate this incredible power that you actually have, like this real leadership ability. People will want to follow you and want to continue to follow you. Whereas I think with others, they might be able to come in and affect change or a new cultural thing, but then they're going to move on somewhere else and they're kind of almost going to be forgotten. Whereas I don't think you're going to be forgotten. There's a dignity to you, there's a structure to you, there's a legacy to you. So I hope that that resonates. I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 2, to your reading. So you came to the reading with the Wheel of Fortune. As I say, we sort of see that sense of the silver screen there, the projector of all those sort of things about it, what it was like to go back to a old time movie theatre, a whole kind of experience of it, the silver screen. And there's actually something very silver about this, because you have silver as a colour energy around your star quality. And then if we have a look at the people from history, the musician and the person from history here, and then we see that we have the sun and the moon, which is like the alchemical marriage, the divine union, and then Venus with Pluto, the creative power and the change power and the transformative power of beauty and love and music. I think that this is a highly spiritual group, I have to say. I think that this is about, finding, your soul twin, if that's something that you're looking for, or the alchemical marriage, the balance of the growth, I think, of the divine feminine, but not losing the concept of the thought processes or whatever that one might have associated with the divine masculine. But silver, this is like high order, Kabbalistic, all of those sort of things here. And Kate Bush, I don't think that Kate Bush has come out before for me in a reading that I can remember. Kate Bush is probably one of the most genius musicians, certainly of my sort of generation, ever. Like her stuff is beyond amazing. And if you are so young that you don't really know Kate Bush, do yourself a favour and actually go and check her out, because she is amazing, the stuff that she did, and very, very mystical, but also very incredibly creative and wild and beautiful and free. All the sort of things that I would associate with Venus and Pluto here, the kind of the beauty of the voice, the transformative energy, the completely unique. And with silver, with insight, illumination, reflection, I always thought she was madly psychic. Like, I always felt like she is tapped into something extraordinary. So I think that you are. I think that part of your star quality is an incredible, ahead of your time, creative, spiritual, cosmos-based sort of energy and inspiration, an incredible balance of the male and female energy. And also with Plato, it's like, this is about the world of form. This is about who we truly are in our souls. And this is also the sort of the sense of the acorn and the oak, all of those sort of things philosophically about the self-actualized true individual. And this is, again, Kate Bush, very much so on the silver screen. Some of you may be performers. Some of you may be or may have an aim to do this. And if that's the case, you'd be very well aligned to it. Particularly any kind of things, whether it's music or movies or whatever, that are about love, connection, spirituality, self-actualization, all of that sort of stuff. Others of you, this is going to be extremely spiritual with the silver sort of energy. That's like Hokmah with Plato. It's like the Hokmah is the first Sephiroth after Keter. It is the beginning of the creation of the world of form. So you've got that kind of energy. So that silvery grey energy of Hokmah, a great deal of wisdom, with maybe then Kate Bush being with Pluto and Venus here like Binah, the female balance that brings compassion to that. The spiritual balance of the sort of sun and the moon. So you're either highly, highly spiritual or highly innovative and creative, I would say. It could be either, it could be a bit of both. So let's have a look and see what we get with tarot. So we're just going to ask a little bit more about what is your particular star quality. Then we're going to sort of see what is available to you at the moment to really leverage it, and what blocks there might be at the moment to it. So a little bit more about who this very unique person that you are is. The Ten of Wands reversed, the Eight of Cups reversed, the Tower reversed, wow, the Ace of Pentacles reversed. Gee, I think you're quite hidden. The Five of Swords reversed, the Two of Wands reversed. So firstly, what I would say is, some of you that have come to this reading, you haven't yet shown your ability. You're either quite young or you've sort of been in a job that hasn't allowed you to do it. It's all kind of there, but it's a little bit under the surface. That could be true of some of you. For others, you have a spiritual ability that operates almost unconsciously, or in other realms. Like I get that some of you might be stars within the liminal space, within the unseen, within the unknown. They're really, really different. So it could be a bit of both. It could be that it's almost like in an alternative universe, you're a star on stage and screen. In this world, you are almost gathering the information and the experiences and the wisdom to really create that in this other realm. It could also be that you are someone who is incredibly creative, but you do it behind the scenes, just as the person in the projection room would be sending out the beautiful things, so creating the movie, creating the thing, but not showing your face. That could all be happening as well. But it's interesting. You're a very interesting energy. 10 of Wands reversed, 8 of Cups reversed, Tower reversed. I think that this is also picking up a moment in time for you when you come to this reading. I think that there has been something that's taken a lot of energy. It's been a labour of love. And you maybe got it about 90% of the way to where you wanted it to be. It's not 100% there. You're not kind of giving up on it, but something new wants to be born out of it. There's almost a choice operating at the moment. And you're going, well, I'm not giving up. I'm not giving up on what I wanted, but I do recognise there's a choice, maybe to do something slightly differently. And it's like, it's almost like at the moment, it's the difference between the purity of the form of what you really wanted and then what it could become, maybe in combination with something else, which is maybe where we've got the sun moon here. Maybe through love. It could be that love or something like that with Venus and Pluto is causing you to rethink something. And you're not going to give up on it, but it's not quite ready to show to the world yet. And it's like there is some sort of incremental shift. But it's a labour of love by the looks of things, if that resonates. So as I say, I feel like there's almost two groups that are coming to this reading. One, a lot of this is happening in the liminal space. You are so spiritual, it's off the charts. You exist, you are a star in another realm. And it's like, this is almost the dream and the other places where it's real. That's kind of almost what it's like for you, if that makes sense. It's like this is the movie and the other realm is the true thing that is inspiring the movie. But for others of you, there is sort of something that is very dear to your heart. And you are going to be able to do something with it, I think, but you're going to have to modify it slightly. So then let's ask, what's really available to you to shine your star power at the moment? Knight of Cups reversed. The Hanged Man reversed. This amazing number of reverse cards here. The Six of Pentacles. The Empress. Yeah, the Divine Feminine's very strong with you. The King of Cups. Okay, so there's a different way of thinking about things. Unless there's something, I'm going to jump to the first thing that I was talking about, where there's something that you've got to kind of shift a bit. There is a kind of opportunity now to be a little less sentimental about it, to shift your thinking a bit and get some real support. Like there's likely to be a person or people that would really support what you're trying to do. So there's some real opportunities to bring something into being if you're prepared to make those incremental changes. You don't have to give up on this. It's like a patron is coming or something like that, someone who recognises what you're doing. And real abundance could come from it, and really being seen, like the thing can then be finally seen. The other thing I would say, though, is if it's a liminal space, so that was if there's a project or something at the moment, if you are a star in the liminal space, which I think some of you are, this is really interesting as well too. There's something very Kabbalistic about it. As I said, like with the silver and the silver screen, this is like Chokmah and Binah with Kate Bush. So Binah is the Empress. King of Cups to me is the closest of the marriage between Chokmah and Binah, because it's the sort of almost feminine energy of the cups with the masculine energy of the king. So I think like there's a very profound spiritual energy and a very strong spirit guide coming in to take you in a different direction. It may be to take you away from old loves and old focuses or whatever, because, with that sun moon, the real love is coming in. That's a possibility as well. So let's have a look at what could be blocking you at the moment, blocking your star quality. Two of Pentacles reversed. Nine of Swords, Eight of Swords, the Moon reverse. Okay, you're waiting on some information, I think. you're a bit stuck. You're sort of worried about, like making decisions because you don't feel like you have the information. You are going to get the information, but it'll probably come to you psychically because you're really, really psychic, regardless of whether this is the liminal space or whether this is the project that you're trying to do. You are worried about some material choices. So again, if this is your star quality is in the liminal space, it's like you're worried about bringing that energy in to the material world. What would that actually do? So you're kind of blocking it yourself, or you're going, oh, look, that's just dreams and meditations, and like it doesn't mean anything. It's not real. Like you're actually blocking it intellectually, but it does want to come through. And if this is, as I say, about some sort of project or something, it's a material choice that's worrying you at the moment. But inspiration will come. It's just you've got to get out of your head a bit and because you're incredibly intuitive. In either case, you're incredibly intuitive. So get out of your head. And, this is coming from someone who lives far too much in their head, so I don't mean any criticism, but that's the way to bring this forward, because this is a very subtle star quality, but it's a powerful one. And it's almost like, what it feels like is it's as delicate as, maybe, like, I'm sort of seeing like a rose and pressing it, like a dried rose and pressing it, and you have to be incredibly delicate with it so that you maintain its beauty and it can then sort of be kept into the future. There's sort of something very delicate about whatever this is, whatever your message is, how you come across. I think that's why I think we've got Kate there with all the flowers around her. There's just something otherworldly and ethereal about your star quality. Very Kate Bush-like, Go and watch her if you really want to get a sense of the energy that I'm seeing here. So it's interesting. So far in pile one particular card kept drawing me, and in pile two, one particular card kept drawing me. So that's sort of interesting. What we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at how the star power plays out in various elements of your life. So your vocational career, your romantic life, your spiritual life, and your creative life. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at your strength, your star quality in each of those things, and then the star quality of your greatest rival, competitor, which could be a person or could be a group. And it could be the same person all the way through, or it could be different people in different aspects of your life. And we'll use chakra cards to see how to move that particular balance to your advantage. So starting vocationally, your sort of star quality strength is the mediator. Oh, now that's really interesting because material decisions here to make. And maybe other people's fears if you're dealing with mediation in your actual job. But otherwise, it's kind of like I keep getting this feeling of the two worlds, the liminal space, the mediation between the psychic and the material, for instance. But whatever it is, you're very, very good at those, at those sort of things that bring peace, mediation, balance. Your greatest sort of rivals or competitors around star quality and career, what they have, communicator, they're great communicators. Now, that's interesting because, as I say, you're very subtle. And we had all the kind of like the reverse cards to start with. You're not, and a mediator is subtle. A mediator exists to get two other people or three other people or whatever to talk, not to do all the talking themselves. They have to do a bit to make it happen, but they are the facilitator of the dialogue and the communication between others. So your subtlety, as I say, is a great strength in your career. But some people who may be your rivals are more the ones who would be wanting to talk in that. So they're more the ones that want to communicate their vision, whereas I think you keep it a bit on the down low. You may even underestimate it a bit to some extent, but you're much more subtle. They're much more, kind of in people's faces. Now, the issue might be, depending upon what your job is, what is the one that's likely to succeed or be liked? And like you need to be in a job or a vocation where the mediation is, the subtle approach is more important than the flashy communicator. Let's see chakra-wise what could work for you around that particular thing. And so we've got the heart chakra. Underactive, I love, but I lack empathy. I don't think that's true, but I think you're so spiritual and so high order that you may not actually understand how that's operating, because to me a mediator has more empathy than a communicator. But I think that you might be in a job where you are working with others and it is around people and it's around ideas and it's around change and it's around whatever else it might be. And you have almost been convinced by a sweet talker over here that they know other people better, but that's not actually true. So I think this is inviting you to to ramp up the heart connection, because you actually do have it. You've kind of maybe sort of not understood that that was the case, because I feel like you're around people who would tell you that they are more empathic, and in fact that's not actually true. Let's have a look therefore around romance. Like, what is your star quality in the romantic area? Oh, I've gone and picked up the same deck. Hang on, just put this. In fact, no, that was the romantic. That's interesting. I picked up the wrong deck, and this is about love. So this is my bad, but that's actually not about your career. This is about love. Now, that's really interesting that I did that. That's unusual to do something like that. I think this is saying a lot about, this is about love, because with the sun, moon at the beginning and like the form, finding your other person, I think for a lot of you, this is actually all about love, star quality around love. So in fact, around love, somebody, if you've got a romantic rival, they're a sweet talker, and they've got you thinking potentially that you're not empathic, but you are empathic. So let's have a look at the career energy then. So I'll do it the other way around. Sorry, pile 2. So career energy, the balance bringer. Okay, so the mediator, the balance bringer, it's a very similar energy there. You're very good at bringing the balance in. You can see all the different sides of the story. Then your rival, career-wise, the team play. Okay, so they may be very different people romantically and at work, but if there's a romantic situation at work, they could be the same person. But it's a similar sort of thing. In the romantic thing, somebody who's a sweet talker might have you feeling that they're more in connection with their heart than you are, but you really are. It's just such a deep level. In the workplace, you're very good at bringing balance in and really understanding what's going on at a subtle level, where the other can maybe present themselves as being a great team player, so bringing balance in a different way. But you're more likely to be the one who can resolve issues, because it's a kind of egoless sort of added feeling about you. So then in the career, we have underactive, I am disorganized. Okay, give yourself a hard time, pile 2. You're very different. This is the thing. You're very different. I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are neurodiverse or something like that. You're very different, and you live in the liminal space. Even if this is around a project and so forth, you're kind of ethereal, and I think that your rivals have kind of made it look like what was different and a star quality is not what it could be. This is again why we had all the reversed cards. But you are so special. Like, I really want you to hear this and really want you to know this. You are so special that really, once you realise that, the others don't stand a chance, to be frank. Let's have a look at what's going on spiritually, because this is a very strong area for you. Listen. Yeah, you can hear in between the worlds. You can hear what people are saying. You are so good at understanding what's really going on a subtle level. And it comes through, psychically and spiritually too. You have that stillness, that preparedness to draw that energy in. The slightest thing you're going to pick up. Your spiritual competitors, potentially, for star quality. This is really interesting, because you are off the charts when it comes to the Kabbalah. I really think that you are surrounded by people who talk the talk, but they're not walking the walk. Because, they may be knowledgeable, but there's a difference between being knowledgeable and truly knowing. There's a difference between having all the theory and the kind of clever words and the really connecting in and listening. Because as I say, I feel a really strong Kabbalistic thing for you, really high order up in the supernal level. You're not low there, but I just think like you're around a lot of blowhards, I think. Let me just see what the energy is chakra-wise for you spiritually. Overactive. I talk and I overshare. So you get excited about spiritual. You know what? Your rivals, they they kind of learn from you, but they're not going to ever admit that they are learning from you because you really are connected. You really know what you're talking about. Whereas these people over here, they got lots of theories and they'll grab all that sort of energy and they'll soak it out of you. But you're the one who's really experiencing it spiritually. But in a sense, you're giving away some of your knowledge to people who would want to present themselves as being more knowledgeable than you. There's a sort of person who, if you were saying you had an inspiration or whatever and you said something about it, they go, yes, oh, of course, as though they already knew, but they didn't already know. That's the sort of people you're around, I think. Let's look at how it's operating creatively. Duality. Yeah, duality, sun and moon, thought form and the heart. Like, it's like you are able to get those things in balance, yin yang, whatever it is. You know, you're creatively, beautifully balanced. Let's have a look at your potential creative rivals for star power. Shapeshifter, power to change. Yeah. I just feel, and I don't know whether it's in all aspects of your life or whether it's only in some, it's going to depend on who comes to this, but I just feel that you are around people who are claiming to be more of who you are than you are. And I don't know whether they know that they're doing that or whether they're just kind of like a bit vampiric, but they're very slick-tongued. They're good with their words. They appear to be part of the team. They appear to be really knowledgeable. They appear to be really flexible. But you're the person who's in it. You're in the heart of it. Let's have a look at the chakra energy around that. So crown chakra, overactive. I sense dissociation from my body. So this would be one thing you would need to watch out for, I think, because you are so spiritual. This might be the other way that they kind of get in and get ahead, because you're in two worlds at any given time. See, if you think about, again, if you look at the career of Kate Bush, luckily for her, she had some people around her who recognised her genius really early on. If not, we may never have had the sublime work that she brought to us. So, I think that there is something coming in to see you and recognise you. So I think this is just to be a bit of a cheerleader talk from the universe, so that you know that you are all that. You are, and you are a star in this place, and it's time for that to be seen, not to be kind of suppressed by competition. So let's see some stars to guide your star quality. Pile 2. Square. Yeah, this is being done to some degree, I think, to bring you into your body and into the world. Because I think you are so much, and it doesn't really matter which of those two scenarios I was talking about. There is something about you that is so ethereal and in the other world that this is a challenge to bring you in so you can really maximize what you are going to do in this world. Water, very creative, very, very flexible, very emotional, very caring. You are caring. But I think somebody's done a number on you and told you weren't. Like, I do think things like neurodiverse, where people kind of almost imply that because of a different way of communicating and interacting, that people somehow don't, get social cues or whatever. But I think it's just different. I don't think they're lesser or anything, at all. But like, it doesn't have to be exactly that, but that's an example of what I think might have been almost programmed around you. And Pluto. Yeah, you're powerful. Remember Venus, Pluto, the beauty of what you do, there's a transformation energy. And I think it wants to transform things now so that you really come into your own. So to close out the reading, I'm just going to get you a dragon butterfly from the Enchanted Blossoms thing to see what you can maximize when you really step into your star quality, pile 2. Wisdom. Yeah, the wisdom to understand the difference between the people who have like some of the theory, can kind of seem to be a little bit dexterous verbally and all that kind of stuff and fit in with everybody, and the true original, the true genius, the true source energy. Wisdom. When you really understand what you're bringing in, wisdom. And that goes back again, because I had a very strong Chokmah feeling for you from the Kabbalah, and that is what Chokmah represents, wisdom. So I hope that resonates for you, pile 2. You're a very interesting energy. Please don't underestimate yourself. Hope you enjoyed the reading. If you did, please like and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Beyond that, I hope to see you in future readings. Welcome, pile 3, to your reading. So you came to the reading with judgment. And judgment, of course, is following the call. It is also being judged, all of those sort of things. In this particular deck, you can see the person's receiving an Oscar. So they've been judged as being extremely good in their field. And I definitely think there's energy here to suggest that would be true of you. I think that your star quality comes out dealing with conflict or a competition in one form or another. You have incredibly fast mind, incredibly electric way of doing things. Like you channel energy like crazy. You're incredibly fast, incredibly articulate. You're kind of literally with Jimi Hendrix, the sort of, electric guitar king, that sort of sense of like channeled pure spiritual energy coming through his creative sort of soul. Like he's extraordinary in that level. He's a legend for a reason. With Mercury, this sort of capacity to communicate, to think quickly, to move quickly. And then you've got Mata Hari, which suggests in positions where things might not always be clear cut, where you might have to be subtle sometimes, even with this amount of electric energy, and where there could be competition and risks and dangers and so forth, and how you use your brilliance and kind of almost dazzling energy to deal with those potential sort of risks, and to keep yourself safe in times of change. With Saturn and Pluto here, this is the kind of stability within times of change and revolution. So there's a calling here for you with your star quality in whatever it is that you do to be at the front lines, I think, in some way of a conflict or a new way of doing things, a new way of being, and to know how to protect yourself and create sort of something that's lasting at a time of great change. So it's an interesting energy. It's very much of the new, it's very fast, but it's also very considered. And you're so used to conflict, you're so used to dealing with competitors. It'll be very interesting when we get to the bit where we're looking at the competition, because I think normally speaking, you're way ahead of your competition, and by the time they catch up, you've already created the circumstances that make it possible for you to have the victory and to win in any conflict, or even to sometimes avoid the conflict by having laid the groundwork and being able to talk the talk that's necessary. So let's see what we get with tarot. So let's firstly see a little bit more about your star quality. Pile 3. Queen of Wands. There's a Mata Hari feeling, if there ever was it. The Emperor reversed. The Magician reversed. Yeah, you deal in tricky scenarios, I have to say, Pile 3. 5 of Cups reversed. King of Swords reversed. Justice. Okay. Yeah, many of you are in politically or socially difficult situations, or office politics, all of that kind of thing. So there's definitely something about power, dealing with things that are not true, things that are hidden, spy energy there. Being able to understand and assess that kind of energy is part of your star power. You're accustomed to this. It doesn't dismay you with the 5 of Cups. It doesn't put you off emotionally. You know your way around that kind of energy. You're very, very confident. You're very able to show yourself well, and you know that you're on the side of right. So you kind of have, truth on your side, and great charisma, great communication ability, and you get it. You get the environment, you get what's going on far better than most other people do. But there's definitely something about the need for that. I think that you work in complex areas. If you come to the right reading, you're in politics, you're in social stuff, you're in office politics, you're in media, you could be in sort of entertainment. But if you are, then you're around very sort of interesting kind of dynamics that aren't always what they appear to be. But you're very clear on what the truth is, and you're very confident. This is part of it, because you're ahead of it all. Like if a reverse magician tried to trick you, you're so far ahead of them. If the King of Swords tried to tell you an untruth, you're going to see right through them. If the Emperor tried to boss you around, you're more than strong enough to deal with it. So you're a force to be reckoned with. Very, very smart mind. Let's have a look and see what we get around how you can benefit most from your star quality at the moment. The Empress, the 8 of Swords, the Chariot reversed, the Page of Cups reversed, the Sun reversed. Okay. There's something about the environment, again, if you've come to the right reading that you're in at the moment, that it's not the ideal environment to come out of the shadows. Like, you are brilliant, you will know the right time, and you will win, and you will get the recognition with judgment there. You are following your calling, you are on the side of justice and judgment, that's all fine. And you will create the change and the legacy that's necessary using your brilliant mind. But right now, it's not quite the right time for the conflict, I don't think. It's more a time to be working on almost the seductive side of the Mata Hari, of like drawing people in, finding out where are the blocks intellectually, what's going on, why is the communication wrong, what's stopping things. It's almost like you're going on literally a spying thing now to work out what is going on that is blocking what you're trying to achieve. And it's inviting you to think about, what do you want this to feel like for you? Because you're very much in your head. And if you're really going to follow your calling and follow your life path, what you want emotionally is also important. I just feel like it kind of feels a bit like this spy energy, like I used to watch a show called Spooks. It was called Spooks here in Australia. It was a British show. I think it was called MI5 or something in America. And like, one of the things that was really interesting in it is that, you'd follow the trajectory of different spies working for sort of British intelligence, and how they often had to kind of submerge their emotional life because it was hard to get in relationships because they were kind of in all these different personas. Now, I'm not saying you're literally a spy, but there's something here where the complexity of the scenario that you're in, and you're so good at it, you're so good at dealing with this, is maybe getting you away from it. And there's something about it. There's a slowing down period now where you can focus on your charm and that side of things till you get a better lay of the land. That's also saying, in that period of time, it's inviting you to think about, is this somewhere you would want to stay long term? Is this somewhere where you would want to create your legacy? Like, what do you actually want longer term? So it's almost like there's a period of exploration around at the moment. You're not fully in the battle. You're ready for it when you need to, but you're not fully there. So let's have a look at what could be blocking you or challenging you in your star quality at the moment. Page of Wands reversed, Five of Wands reversed, Ace of Pentacles reversed, Six of Pentacles. Okay, so there's a couple of things going on in this environment. One is that you are very charismatic. That's the Mata Hari thing. That's very much there. But if you make it too clear at the moment about what your ambitions are, then you're going to end up in conflict you don't need to have. So you're aware of that. You also need some sort of material support. It isn't there right now. I think it will be, but I think this is what you're trying to work out in the environment you're in whatever way this is playing out. Who can you trust? Who's going to move forward with you? Who will recognize you? And there will be people who do, but it hasn't yet been activated. And it's kind of saying that this is going to turn out to be a good thing in the end, because yes, you could go in and win the battle right now, but you don't actually know what you want to be your prize. Like, it's pretty clear if you're an actor or an actress and you want an Oscar, but it's not as clear as that for you at the moment. It's, what do you really want? And if you're too clear to others about an ambition at this point in time, they may put up blocks, just out of spite or out of competition. So it's a complex situation that you're in, but you definitely have the mind and the capacity to navigate this. It's part of your star quality. You really can shine and survive environments that others would be sort of really swept under by. So let's have a look at it across a number of levels. We're going to have a look at your career. We're going to look at your love life, your spirituality, and your creativity. And in each case, we're going to look at what your star quality really brings to the table, and then what your nearest rival competitor kind of energy brings to the table. So firstly, around your career. And a lot of this feels like it's around career, vocation in some way. Doesn't really feel like it's around romance. If it's around romance, then there's somebody you can't really be sure of for a while, I would say. But anyway, we'll see when we get to that. But firstly, around your career, your star quality energy there. The Guardian. So, yeah, you are guarding something. You're guarding justice. You're guarding the outcome. And you need to sort of guard yourself as well, too, in this environment. You know how to keep things protected. This is a Saturn-Pluto thing. You know how to be the steward of something when necessary. What about your sort of nearest competitors or rivals for star quality in vocation? Passion pioneer. Okay. These people appear to be very much of the heart, very much of what they want. Might be why it's saying think about what you really want, because you seem to be focused more on navigating a difficult environment, not so much on the outcome. These people are all about their passion, and that may draw people in more than what you're doing. It could be okay to start with, because I think there's a lot going on under the surface here, so it's worth being a little bit hidden. But for your star quality to really come through and your brilliance to come through, for that Jimi Hendrix double Mercury electricity, there's a point at which you've got to move out of just guarding something when you feel that the terrain is right, into showing your hand and expressing what you want. So how can chakra energy help you there? We look at the root chakra. I am struggling with change, overactive. Okay, there's something going on. It may be that somebody's come in vocationally who you don't trust, and you're probably right not to trust them. They appear to be very passionate. Or, if it's not work, it could be like, political thing. Somebody could have suddenly become, the next great leader, or appears to be the next great leader of your party or something like that, but you don't trust them because the change is not quite right. You're feeling it's not quite right. You're feeling that this isn't right. I think you're right. So I don't really think this is overactive too much, but I think it is allowing yourself to step back and just watch, remembering that you're so good at this, rather than feeling right now you have to do anything, because it's sort of saying you don't have to move right now. Just focus on being charming and watch what's happening. Let's see what's going on for you romantically. So your romantic star quality. Sorry, I picked up the wrong deck. I'm getting confused. They look exactly the same at the back, but they are very different. So I'm going to shuffle again. So romantically, your star quality. The gift giver. This card celebrates the joy of giving in love. So you're a very giving person, love-wise, and you like to give gifts, and I think you like to protect people as well too. Romantically, your greatest rival, their kind of star quality is the warrior. Okay, now this is funny, because the reality is if I was going to choose somebody, as a love partner to deal with a really difficult situation, I'd choose you every day. Like, I'm just on that kind of level, obviously. I don't know what your preferences are and, like what gender you are and all that kind of thing. So I'm just talking very metaphorically. But I think that your rivals appear to be really able to deal with these environments, and they go in and fight, and they're fighting the good fight or whatever. But I don't feel like, I think that would be underestimating you. I think it's that your soft side shows up in romance, and you're not seen. It's like, because a lot of what you do is subtle. So you're actually tougher than what your rival looks like, but it's not how you express yourself romantically, and it's partly because your way is actually more effective in the end. Let's see what the chakra energy is there. So the heart chakra, balanced. I love with compassion. Yeah, you do. It's real. This is a bit more performative. But I think the odd thing might be that if you are in a very difficult position and you've met someone in a difficult sort of, like, as I say, social cause or something, your rival might appear to be more upfront fighting the good fight, but you're the one I'd back, like you definitely, and in terms of love, you're more giving. It's not about a battle all the time. This person might find it hard to put the battle implements down and actually have the relationship. Let's look at it spiritually. So your spiritual star quality. Mysticism. So you do know what you're doing. Yeah, your mind is very strongly connected. You can like connect to the upper realms, all of that kind of thing. Very, very clever. You understand the systems and the processes and so forth. And, you can get to the levels beneath that you need to do to understand what's going on in the environments that you find yourself in. Your rivals one, listen. That's interesting. They're very good at hearing what's going on. So this is the closest to a true rival, I think, for you. I think spiritually, there are people who have a similar ability to you that maybe don't have the same ability to electrically bring through the new very quickly, because you're kind of connected to the upper realms, you're really channeling, but they do hear what's going on. That spiritually around you, if this dynamic is in a spiritual group, your greatest rival has a similar ability to you to understanding what is going on. So let's have a look at what the chakra energy would be to help you there. Sacral chakra, underactive. I feel a lack of passion. Okay, so if to some degree, because so much of this is electric with you and so much of it is in the head and theoretic and spying energy, if you feel like you've disconnected, because remember over here around career, the passionate person, the warrior, you may be so caught up in being sort of ahead and understanding the chess moves and all that kind of thing that like even spiritually you're feeling a bit detached, whereas your rival is feeling kind of connected. So I'd actually take on a bit of what your kind of spiritual rival does here and like just settle into it and listen. Just listen for the spiritual drumbeat going on, because you're very knowledgeable. You'll be able to put it into the right structure. And then creatively, body talk, connect to the wisdom of your body. So this may also be part of how, this is Madahari, very seductive energy, Queen of Wands, very seductive energy. Creatively getting into your body, because there's so much in your mind and so much sort of downloading. It's like earthing all this electricity will help you. It will also probably help you around that spiritual thing of connecting. Listen to your body. I think that if you do that, it takes you to this whole other level, particularly with anything you want to create. And for arrival, multi-dimensional. Yeah, because at the moment, like creatively, kind of you have a similar sort of person in many ways. But in all kind of in all of them, a similar sort of person. But they're more overt about it all. I think if you ground within, you actually have the edge on your sort of rival or rivals here. But they're not that dissimilar to you. Of all the ones, I think that this is the closest to being similar sort of energy. Let's see what we get chakra-wise creatively. So the throat chakra, I talk and communicate well. Okay, so remember, with that Mercury, your communication skills are off the charts. And so it may be if you you ground what you're feeling into your body, you'll be able to express that extremely well. Whereas maybe your competitor over here creatively is still a little bit out in the universe or whatever, but they're similar to you. There's a similar energy. Okay, let's get you some stars to guide your star power, pile 3. Fixed. I think the Saturn-Pluto thing, once the transformational change of this environment happens, there's a kind of like a guardian fixed sort of energy. Like there is a sort of sense that you will really come into your own star power wise when you have created something that you feel very loyal to. The first quarter, picking up speed, make decisions. Yeah, things are going to start to speed up. They're not quite there yet. This is why take a little bit of time to work out where you want to go, because once you've done something here and once you've been recognised and got the sort of like the Oscar, so to speak, you're going to want to stick with it for a while. And Aquarius, like it's very much of the mind again. Once you've sort of done this, you'll go back into the mind and into the future focus, but there's a legacy you're creating. Your star power is meant to create a legacy. So last but not least, I'm just going to get you a dragon butterfly to have a look at what your star quality could create in the longer term for you. Happiness. Well, that's about as good as it gets. Given that like you're so good in these complex, difficult, conflict-based environments, but it was saying victory could be yours. And given that you also have, of all the rivals or competitors that I've looked at across this, probably the one that's the closest to you, or at least appears to be the closest to you. I don't think that they have your kind of genius and your capacity for subtlety in difficult situations, but in another way they have kind of passion and they appear to be up for the fight. And they do have some connection to sort of like the kind of multidimensional energies for creativity, and they are able to listen and hear other people. So as I say, it's like you're the uber spy amongst spies and you're all navigating this really tricky environment. Like I think, but once you really embody all of this and you find the thing that you have navigated and conquered and have victory with, and you can create a legacy there, your reward is meant to be happiness. So I think that's probably about as good as it can get around star quality, to be really happy in the end. But of all the readings, it's probably the most complex. On the other hand, it has the most beautiful and simple ending. So I hope you enjoyed the reading. If so, please like the video and subscribe. If you care to share in the comments, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, I hope to see you in future readings.